You.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, we're starting it off a little different. Keisha's like, "You want to start it off?" I'm like, "Sure." She always does such a beautiful job. So I'm like, "All right, let's wing it. See how we go." So welcome to episode 17 of Sexually Speaking with Rhonda Burns and my girl Keisha Clark. Good morning, Keisha.
Morning, lovely.
And all of you joining us live. So good to see you. Welcome. It's an absolute pleasure and a joy to play with you each week. And I just want to say how much these conversations contribute to my life. And I know they contribute to yours, Keisha. We talk about it all the time. And we never know what these conversations will open up and expand, but they always do. And that's the fun and the joy of it. So if you've never joined us before, right, 17 in the chat room. So if you've never joined us before, welcome. These are unconventional conversations to unfuck your life. And there is no topic, no subject matter that we won't look at or play with or kick around. So if you aren't one to be uncomfortable or be willing to look at things different, you may not necessarily enjoy this conversation, but then again, maybe the delightfulness of us, you might want to stick around. So welcome, you are invited, and please know that at any point it's time for you to go. That's cool too. It's an open door policy. We're just grateful that you join us each week. And like I said, Keisha and I are willing to look at anything and everything because we know the power of asking questions, the power of making choices, the power of awareness. We are such potent and powerful beings with such capabilities, and when you actually start to tap into those completely and totally, life just opens up in magical ways you can't even imagine. So just a little bit about me. I'm a coach, I'm a facilitator, I'm a radio show host, I'm a facilitator, I'm a single mom, I'm a business owner. Hashtag spiritual maverick. That's it in a nutshell. You can certainly find out more about us on our Facebook pages. In where else do we have it, Keisha?
Our radio pages on hn.fm.
Our websites, etc. So Keisha, give people a little flavor of you, flavor of you.
Well, I'm having fun with Goddess of Magic and Possibilities. It kind of encompasses pretty much what I do, what I be. A lot of the work I do is intuitively based. And so I also call myself an intuitive medium, body worker, and facilitator. So it all kind of comes together in a way that is how I do it. And really what I love is that each of us has that. So I've been just experimenting and playing and letting myself really have how it shows up for me. And that's kind of been part of the fun of this. So, and these conversations have contributed massively to my just having an ease with how I show up in the world, what is organically possible for me and as me and through me that, if I were to let go of or continue to let go of all of the reasons and justifications that I bought to not be it, would just explode my world even more and maybe even be a contribution to, a few other folks and possibly the planet. So
yeah, it's so fun having these conversations because, this is out there. All of this stuff is out there, and so much of it is suppressed and denied and made very wrong. Just you name it, somebody's going to make it wrong somewhere, somehow. And when those of us are willing to have these courageous conversations and show the amount of bravery to step into a subject matter or to poke at something that might have a lot of significance and weight in society, when we're willing to just come at it from the space of allowance, from the space of curiosity and wonder, and to not, buy into any of it, good, bad, right, or wrong, any of it, and just look at it like, okay, what's under the hood here? Well, what's that really about? And really try it on for ourselves. That for me has been the freedom. That I don't have to take anybody's word. I don't have to take anybody's system. I don't have to take anybody's anything. But I can look at every single thing that comes across my path and just consider it and say, okay, I like that. I'll try that on for a little bit. Or no, that's not for me for, right now, if ever. And that's the freedom and the fluidity that I had been looking for and asking for so long. So speaking of freedom and fluidity, so today, hang on, let me move my screen, guys. I got to read and double do here. So today, what are we talking about? We're talking about the gift of self-pleasuring. Hang on, let me find that. Here we go. How willing are you to offer the gift of pleasure to your body? Are you willing to touch your body? Are you willing to be present with your body? Or do you try to have pleasure without including your body? Wah, wah, wah. Is that even possible? How much pleasure are you willing to have with your body and in your life? None? A lot? Or does that question make you want to check out? There's a lot of that, I know. So let's dive in this week as we play with this topic. And I wonder what pleasuring our bodies can create and the myths that might be keeping us from choosing it. So I love this. And it's so funny to me, Keisha. Self-pleasuring, usually most people, what do they go to?
Masturbation. Oh no.
No, right? It's like, wow, I just had to acknowledge that's not where I went when I saw that. And it's like, wow, I really have expanded. Now, there is nothing wrong with masturbation, friends. Y'all know we love us some sex. That's why it's called Sexually Speaking. But self-pleasure, it's not just the genitalia, right? So talk to me, girl. Tell me where you want to play, where you want to go.
Maybe a place to start could be, how we like to do everything we've decided self-pleasuring means or has to be or is limited to. Maybe we might just be willing to let go of some of those points of view. And, who did you buy it from? And I had the most fascinating time, because I like to go investigating. And of course, I love Google. And
Keisha is our resident researcher, and she's good.
I love, etymology online and Wikipedia and all that kind of, and it's like, and part of what this is about for me, folks, all of this is like, you don't have to be, it's not required that you have a master's degree in anything to have these conversations or have different points of view even from the ones you might be having right now. And so I encourage you, I invite you, I applaud you for looking things up. And what I do when I'm looking through the possibilities of articles and such, on different topics, I just ask the energy to show me the ones that are, that have the information that I'm desiring or that I'm really ready to know or have what would give me more awareness with all of this, and let those titles just sort of wave at you. So in the process of getting ready for this show, I was aware that most of us have kind of written off self-pleasuring as masturbation. And of course, I was curious, where did that word come from? And it's interesting because there's really very little information as far as like an actual translation of the word masturbation. And in the process of looking this up, I found a bunch of information about something that occurred during the Victorian age. And it was like, oh my God, it was kind of like my experience when I was watching the video a few weeks back that I shared with you guys on another show. And it was, for me, one of the things that just was completely mind-boggling was how in generally masturbation was not considered something horrible, wrong, or evil, up until some people decided that it was this awful thing. And many of their roots, many of their fundamentals in those choices, those who sort of created this campaign against masturbation, it was rooted in their very interesting points of view about bodies and the rightness and the wrongness, and about disease and illness and all of that. And what I came across was this, it was like a campaign. It was like there were a few people who got this notion that, hey, this is awful, this is all wrong, we should not be doing this. And they published, these articles and these studies and these journals and these all kinds of things about the evils of pleasuring ourselves and all of the diseases that it was supposed to cause, according to these people. Holy smokes. And so it was a really fascinating thing to just to see how much it was bought into. And for really the better part of 200, maybe 300 years of our story, our history, it was like, it was another form of like a witch hunt, really, you know, and it was just this very rigid, fixed point of view that it was something that was so wrong. And how many of us have adopted and adapted various versions of that, you know? So I know you and I play with, you know, hey, we have a body. Oh my gosh, look at these amazing bodies, and look what they could show us and what they could tell us and what they can like do with us, you know? And so it was really funny. And in a sense, for a few minutes, it really wasn't funny, because I thought of how much misery is created around those kinds of points of view of, you know, how wrong it is, how awful it is, how bad a person you are if you do this. And I thought, here again, it's that lie of separation and the various ways that we have created to reinforce that lie.
Whew, there's so much in here. So I'm going to try to make this as fluid and congruent as possible so that y'all can hang with me and get this. So the amazing thing is, and we've talked about, you know, orgasm, we talked about life force energy. If you go back to the history of where these controls were implemented, how much of those people were, right? We all have these energies within us. We all have these tendencies, these urges. And so let's say back in the day, you know, people who didn't know what they were, who couldn't identify them, who were scared of them, felt like they were too much and on, right? So they were like, oh, we got to shut this down, right? Because there's such an element of explosion in these energies, it's vibrancy, it's vitality, and that can't be controlled. So then people, and again, this is a much bigger conversation off topic, but I just want to note, that's where I really started to unravel these things for myself, is when I actually looked at the origins of who put it in place and why. Oh, well, that's just a control mechanism. So I get to choose what works for me. Now, there are still many control mechanisms in place. There are lots of religions and lots of cults and et cetera that are telling you it's wrong. And this is where you really have to explore for yourself. And that, for me, all of that was bullshit, because it's like, okay, I got a human body. She's pretty fucking awesome. She feels pretty amazing. I have a story. Yesterday, this sweet body and I went shopping for 5.5 hours. I didn't eat a thing. We were in the zone. We were having so much fun. We did shoes, we did shirts, we did makeup. It was awesome. And then at 5:30, as I'm driving home, because I produced shows last night, I was like, body. And I never, blood sugar dip, none of that, right? So the lies that we buy, I was like, you're amazing. Oh my God. That was so much self-pleasure for me yesterday. And it was the first time that I'd experienced it that way. Yeah. And so we grabbed a bite on the way home, and that's all we had for the day, right? So it's like, look at all the ways in which we've been lied to. Other people think it's truth, but let's just call it for what it is. Yeah. All the ways we lie to ourselves and all the ways we deny ourselves. And could we please just take a deep breath in, be willing to blow that shit out and let it go and choose a different possibility now?
Yes.
A whole different way of being. I'm like, holy bajoli. Yeah.
That is so amazing. And it's a perfect segue into what do we know self-pleasuring really is and can be?
Right.
And Lily is moving some energy with us here.
Coming in, baby. Right on time, sister.
She's so awesome, my little goddess, my little galactic queenie. So we have ourself. We have this body that we often refer to as ourself, and we also have our own self, the infinite being, us, the energetic being, however that lands for you. And I started to look at, okay, firstly, in a conversation like Sexually Speaking, yes, let's talk about, do you have an ease touching your own body in a form of literal touch? Do you have an ease, holding your face? Do you have an ease touching your own different body parts? And if not, yes, there could be many conversations or just a different conversation there. And both Rhonda and I would cheer you on and encourage you and invite you to play with what it is that stops you and have your awareness. And if you're willing to, choose beyond the places you've stopped yourself up to this point. And then another conversation, or another part of that conversation, definitely is now into all of the other ways that we receive pleasure. And really what I became aware of as I was playing with the write-up for the show was all of the ways that we're not willing to let ourselves have pleasure. We're not willing to let our body feel good, whether that's with clothing or shoes or the particular foods or an experience, whether it's going to the movie or going to the water park, or, you know, we, by and large, what I see in the world is we come up with all of these ways to not let our bodies actually have pleasure, which for me, there's kind of an irony because, you know, pretty much everything you see in advertising and marketing is all about, you know, treat yourself this way, have the fine things in life, la la la. And so it's this interesting thing that we've set up. And in a way, I kind of see how a lot of people have adopted the point of view, if I can't do it that way, I won't give my body anything. So what are you willing to gift your body? That, you know, are you willing to gift your body? Or do you just sort of schlep your body around and like do the minimally required kind of like hygiene and nutrition to keep your body moving, you know?
Oh, sweet bodies.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So everything that is, just take a deep breath in. Just blow it out. Let it go. Let it go. So here's a little reminder, friends. And most of you have heard this. For those of you who may not have heard this, I'll clue you in. We chose these bodies. We chose to come onto this planet in physical form, in matter, because infinite beings that we are, the essence, the soul, whatever you'd like to call it, those are energies, okay? That's an energy. If we didn't want to be enjoying the pleasures of the planet, right? If we didn't want to perceive and touch and taste and feel, we would have stayed in energetic form. We would not have embodied. Hello? Are you getting this? So the crazy thing to me is we chose physical form to experience pleasures, and yet here we are negating and denying and disavowing pleasures. Enough. Cuckoo, cuckoo. But again, friends, like we don't know what we know until we know it, right? And
Right.
So most of us have been trained and entrained and modeled and shown a certain way or not at all. So here's your space to go, oh, well, does that light for me? Yeah, okay. And some people believe that you come to serve time or to do lessons, and whatever your belief is, that's your belief. I'm not asking you to believe anything different. I'm here for you to tap in. Like, would you be willing to ask? So truth, did I actually come here in human form to experience pleasure? Truth. That is so light when I ask it of myself. How about you, Keisha?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Ask for yourself and then be willing to say, okay, enough. Right? And you don't have to change it overnight if you don't want to. Some of you can tiptoe. Some of you can go in the deep end. I don't care how you do it. Just start. Just acknowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a question you could play with, just sort of to open the door for yourself, might be, so does anything or everything I'm choosing to believe right now create a limitation for me with my body?
Okay, I couldn't even hear that. What'd you say? So friends, that's the, huh? Puppy dog look. I saw her talking. I heard her talking. Couldn't tell you what she said. That's ringing my bell. That's a perfect example right there. Would you perhaps repeat?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, love. So we all have our belief system. We all have our belief structures that we were brought up in or that we've adopted, you know. And so one of the kind of door opening questions might be, is there anything that I'm choosing to believe, or is the belief system I am subscribing to creating limitation for me with my body?
Ooh,
Truth.
That would be a resounding yes.
Holy moly. I do believe there are some limitations within the belief structures many of us have adopted, yes. And really, folks, like, what is your awareness? I'm not going to say you have to agree with me in any way, shape, or fashion, or with Rhonda, or with anything we say on this show. And really where we're choosing to function from is the curiosity of, okay, what have we constructed that is actually creating a limitation for us, that does stop us? And everywhere we're able and willing to acknowledge that and have our awareness of that, are we willing to choose to now go beyond and change it?
Oh,
Right?
energy's moving. Holy smokes. Yes, 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 yes. So back to when you were talking earlier, and this is tied into this. So all of the lifetimes that we came in with,
Yeah.
with the all the lifetimes where we brought the limitations in with us, and then we compiled and compounded this reality's right, belief systems and structures. I'm just gonna like, here's the match, blow that shit up. Like, no, let it go. I'm done with that. I've acknowledged that it's there. It doesn't serve me any longer. I don't require to or desire to be limited in any way, shape, or form, enforce limitations on my body. Enough.
Yeah.
That's as easy. That's how it can be. Like, if you're willing to be that potency and power for yourself to know that it can happen like that and just acknowledge it, change it. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that it can be that fast. And, you know, if you've been in different forms of therapy for ad infinitum and multiple lifetimes even, you know, would this be something that would create more freedom for you? It's really just our willingness to choose it. And please know that Rhonda and I do not come to these conversations with the whole, like, well, we've already done it, and therefore, no. We are bringing you the things we're playing with.
Crash test dummies. Crash test dummies right here. Willingly, playfully, joyfully.
Oh my gosh, please know. Yeah, this is nothing in these conversations is really about telling you how to do something. We really do desire to invite you to change what isn't working for you.
Yeah.
And really what it comes down to, that pivotal thing, is our willingness to acknowledge when and if something is not working for us. And so often part of what creates the catastrophe of things not working is this very subtle, insidious, usually hidden and unconscious something that we've bought, a belief, a point of view, a rule, an unspoken law, or we've inherited it somehow. And in every case, there's a willingness to take that on. Okay, so it's not about making anybody else, you know, it's not about making you a victim. It's just usually what is one of the pivotal points underneath all of the stuff we have been talking about in our lives is this sort of fundamental kind of, I'm going to say, crazy ass notion that bodies are somehow wrong. Now, bodies are the vessel that you get to show up on this planet through.
Yeah.
If you're choosing that. So we would make bodies wrong for what possible reason? Other than to mount campaigns and make lots of money and have fabulous advertising and marketing.
Manipulation, control,
Yeah.
Religions telling, right? Like, everybody has a point of view about it. Everybody has a belief, and that's where I go back to, what do you want to have work for you? What works for you? What is actually true for you? And when you peel away all the layers and the bullshit and the when you can see things for what it is, and again, not judging it. Like, I'm aware of all the manipulation. I'm aware of all of it, and I'm not judging it. I'm aware of it. Okay, cool. How do I use that to my advantage? What's actually true and real for me?
Yeah.
Right? I was a puppet of this reality for 40 some odd years. That shit got old. It got painful. It created angst in my body. It created wanting to leave the planet and check out and die and leave my son, right? Like, most of us have been there. And so what do you do about that? Well, you start asking questions, and you continue to take steps, and you ask questions, and the universe opens doors. And when you're willing to follow the inspired action, and you just follow the flow, and you say yes and no, and you just keep choosing, the layers come off, right? And it's a constant process. It's an evolution, and it's beautiful. It's magnificent, you know? And I've seen my friends blossom into these, like, they show up, right? Because we're so encased. That's it. We're so encased in all this stuff. And as the layers come off, you're like, oh, there she is. There I am. Woo-hoo-hoo, right? And you're like, I knew you were in there all along, right? Ah! I celebrate friends when they start popping from their buds, if you will.
Yeah. Well, the Anise Nin, oh gosh, until the day it became more painful to remain tight in the bud.
Yeah.
That quote has been recited how many times, and it applies so beautifully.
I love that body of work.
What is that struggle that we've been creating that we can now let go of? And something that kind of popped as you were talking too, I've noticed the word religion has come up a number of times for many of us in these kinds of conversations. And so rather than, if this is happening for you, if anything is coming up about trying to make religion wrong, what if instead we could simply acknowledge, there's a whole lot of stories that have been created to explain our existence and explain the possibilities of us. And really, this time that we are collectively coming to on the planet, with our bodies, with the planet, with each other, having awareness of us, of more of us, each of us individually as well as collectively. What if you could choose, or be willing to choose, to have your awareness about it? And could you let it simply be one of the stories, one of the possibilities to play with? And there's something that I'm aware of within each of these bodies of these belief structures is, in the beginnings of the belief structures, the majority of them, there was a sacredness to it. There was a desire to seek that mystery and unfold it and be a part of the unfolding of it. And then committees got involved. I love how Rocco Errico explains it. Then they brought in a committee, and the committee had to make rules and decisions and structures and blah, blah, blah. Right. So it's like, what is it that you are aware of before all of the decoration and invention got put onto these stories? What are the fundamental awarenesses, the truths of the universe that each of you might be aware of? And if that's kind of like bumping you in, sort of nudging you energetically with these kinds of conversations, would you go to that question? Okay, everywhere what is it that's in this story that I know is a lie, that if I were willing to let it go would give me the freedom with the essence of the story and allow me to have more awareness with my body and really what works for me? What works for you? What works for you? So bodies and pleasure.
Yeah, so Keisha, that was beautiful. And the question that just popped is, truth, does everybody actually desire pleasure as one of their targets? And I get truth. Actually, that's light. So what I asked, does everybody actually have pleasure as a target? Truth. Okay, that's light. Now here's the interesting thing. So many people, there's so much convoluted information about pleasure, right? So here's my question for you. So truth, are you willing to actually identify for yourself if you would like pleasure to be part of your package? I don't know why I've used that word. Part of your makeup, your body, your life, your living, your, like, all of it. So truth, target, goal. I don't like the word goal. Target is a much broader possibility. But so truth, are you willing to have pleasure as one of your targets? And then when you identify that, then you can start to peel away and strip away all that's keeping you from having it, from choosing it, from creating it. Yeah. So everything that is.
Yeah, totally.
Breath in, slow it out. And bodies, I am so sorry on behalf of myself and anybody else, we're sorry. We are sorry for not having you in the computation, for not having you in the equation, for not including you. Like, I am so sorry.
We can be a little slow on the uptake.
Right? Not to beat ourselves up, but we're going to apologize when we get it. Yeah. Somebody just typed in, I withhold pleasure sometimes as being something I don't need now. Who the heck did you buy that from?
Yeah.
Is that yours, baby cakes?
Yeah. So, and everywhere we've made pleasure restricted to something physically sexual.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to let all of those definitions fall away and really begin to play with what is pleasure for you? When we're talking about self-pleasuring, I put those asterisks up there because it asked me to, but it was like self. So it's like, there's receiving, there's an energy of receiving big time in there. And there's an energy of the willingness to offer something to your body.
Yeah.
And so what are you willing to offer your body?
So yes, exactly. Beautiful question. And let's just do a check-in right now. I would like for each of you, because as we're doing this, you guys are seeing me yawning, you're seeing me moving the energy. Every time we clear something, my body is like, more space. She can breathe some more. She's enjoying it, right? So notice for yourself, how is your body as we're moving through this conversation? Are you tight and contracted, or are you finding yourself relaxing a little bit more? Start to listen to the nuances, right? Listen and check in.
Yeah.
That's such a priority. Yeah, cool. Didn't want to interrupt you there, but
oh no, it's all good. In fact, I have my water.
You guys see me, my body. We got
water. We got sweet
water.
Stuff. We got salty stuff. We got, because when we're talking, like, energy starts to just move, baby. And how many of you have this with your bodies, and it's something you've tried to shut down? And when you've gotten that, when your body's giving you that signal, hey, a little sugar, please. Hey, a little bit of salt, please. Hey, could we take a walk outside and breathe some fresh air? Hey, can you give me a drink of water? How many of those moments have you denied your body the sustenance, the support? Okay. And again, wherever you're having that awareness, please, instead of making yourself wrong for that, or, giving yourself demerits, what if that could simply be awareness? Oh, okay, so moving forward, when this happens, when I notice this kind of thing, or when I get this little sort of nudge, what if I actually chose to stop whatever I'm doing, take 5 minutes and address that, or give my body that drink of water, or piece of bubble gum, or potato chips, or whatever, or walk around the yard. It's like, so really this is about information. And so are you willing to receive the information your body is offering you at whatever point it's trying to get your attention? And yes, bodies sometimes have to get our attention in some pretty intense ways. And what if we could create a relationship with our bodies that allowed more pleasurable communication, rather than something having to really be painful or intense or uncomfortable?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So all of this, yes, this is a conversation called Sexually Speaking, and everything you have limited the possibility of pleasure as only something sexual, would you be willing to now choose beyond that? And would you be willing to allow your body to begin to show you pleasure?
Beautiful. Thank you. And hang on, let's see. I feel open and willing to explore accepting the pleasure and not feeling guilty for the gift of pleasure, because for me, pleasure was a reward for doing something good. Now I'm okay with accepting pleasure anytime. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that forward, because yes, the whole reward system, and then earlier, somebody typed in there withholding pleasure, like all of the withholding, all of the systems for reward, and all of that's in place from any lifetime, space, dimension, reality, past, present, or future. Let's just take an atom bomb and blow that shit out of existence, shall we?
Woohoo!
Like that. Done.
Yeah. Here's your plunger.
Here's your plunger. And here's what I would like for you to play with. I was jotting it down. What energy, space, and consciousness can we and our bodies be to be the pleasure-seeking, pleasure-inducing, pure pleasure we truly be? Bitches. I'll have that. And anything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, in whatever way, shape, or form you'd like to do so, destroy and uncreate it, let it go, blow it up, send it out the window, send it on back to where it came from. We're having it. We're being it.
Oh my God.
Our pure pleasure.
That's yummy. Would you say that again? Would you repeat that?
I would be glad to, because it feels juicy. My body's humming.
Damn.
What energy, space, and consciousness can we and our bodies be to be the pleasure-seeking, pleasure-inducing, pure pleasure we truly be? Yes. And everything that doesn't allow for that, and everything that brings up or lets down, take a breath in, blow it out, let it just permeate. Like, notice what your body's doing, right? One more time. What energy, space, and consciousness can we and our bodies be to be the pleasure-seeking, pleasure-inducing, pure pleasure we truly be?
Oh my goodness. I'm dancing over here. My body's just like,
my lower spine just went.
Yep.
So friends, we are energy, space, and consciousness. That's what we are. And when we include our bodies, like, your bodies will respond. Your bodies will talk to you. They will show you. They will communicate with you if you were willing to receive and listen and hear the information. So yeah, we got tingles going on. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Or
What if, and I love that the point about reward and punishment was brought up. Really, how brilliant were we to notice bodies responded to the granting or the withholding of pleasure?
right.
And how many do we still do this? And how many creatures on this planet have we adapted that for? You know, a lot of people consider that an acceptable form of training. I don't, and it's an interesting point of view. And what if this whole thing of reward and punishment, wherever that is seeped into your fundamental way that you work, what if you were willing to let all of those little threads be ripped out, be dissolved away, be pulled, unravel, however the energy works for you? And would you be willing to acknowledge that there is actually this massive contribution that pleasure is? Whether that's in the form of like the greatest macaroni and cheese you ever put in your mouth, or the most fantastic bath you ever had, or the finest cigar you could get your hands on, or the greatest copulatory experience so far. You know, like, yes, what could you be willing to allow pleasure to actually add to your body?
Yeah,
That's
friends.
what we're talking about, the gift.
Yeah, and like you look at some of the really truly happy and joyful people on the planet, they have pleasure as a priority. They have pleasure on their target board. Like it is an absolute priority. It's vital.
Oh my goodness.
And how many of us bump up against that? We're like, oh, there they are again. All that pleasure, all that joy. Oh, there they are again. Right? Like we resist it. Okay, cool. What if we actually were willing to receive the energy of, okay, if they can do it, God damn it, I know I could do it.
Hell yeah.
I don't know how in this moment, but I'm having it, right? That's demand. That's choice.
Yeah.
Help a sister out. Show me.
That is brilliant. Yeah, I love, because, okay, so everywhere you've got a right way and a wrong way to do pleasure. Could you maybe like just have a V8 moment and realize, oh, what if pleasure for me looks really unique to me?
Yeah.
What if pleasure for you looks really unique to you? Now, we're talking about self-pleasure, folks. We're talking about what you are willing to give to your body. And so we haven't even gotten into this conversation. This really is not about your idea of pleasure with someone else. Okay, this is really about you. And as I've said, we've both said in conversations prior, until and unless you are willing to have an awareness of what pleasure is for you. And I'm gonna be bold and say, until and unless you are willing to actually offer your body pleasure, you are creating a massive limitation in what is possible for you with anyone else.
Absolutely.
And really, it's simply by the nature of the fact that you haven't given yourself, you haven't allowed yourself to have the awareness with your body of what works for you. So you put yourself at the effect of someone else's idea or definition or rules and regulations about pleasure by default. Mm. So that's part of the gift of self-pleasuring that I wanted to bring into this conversation. Is it's also an empowerment for you to actually have presence, firstly with you, and then when you're in the company of someone else. And, you know, how many of you feel like you have to perform when you're with another person?
Oh, that has a wave of energy to it.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Huh.
Woo!
And what would it change if you were willing to actually show up in a relationship, okay? Whether that's just a conversational relationship or an actual full-on partnership and you're gonna sleep together. What could change if you were willing to show up in that scenario with actual knowledge of your body for yourself?
I was asking for some in the chat room. Somebody wrote, I'm really good at pleasuring myself, but I struggle with letting others pleasure me. And I'm asking for some clarification. Right? But how many, right? How many of us, and again, so truth, what is that?
Yeah.
Is it receiving? Truth, something else? Something else? So truth.
And the question that comes up too is, is, and I'm, again, please, this is not about making anyone wrong for having an uneasiness about being able to touch their own body. This is really, I desire to invite you to explore. Okay. And so with the having the challenge of receiving pleasure from others, is that in any way connected to or related to somewhere that you are not willing to allow your own body to experience it, somewhere that you are not willing to or not able to, or you just maybe didn't know you could do this kind of thing, you know, like, oh, I never imagined I could play that way, you know. And are there traumas that are in the way? That's the other thing that comes up. A lot of times that somatic aspect, and so that's that mind-body connection, that when we've had a trauma, and it could be a sexual trauma or it could be a non-sexual trauma, that there are some things that we've locked in the body. And so there's kind of that, we create that sort of zone that if anything gets too close,
right,
things will start to get really weird, really funky.
Cellular memory trigger response, so to speak. Yes, the person indicated that she thinks for me, it's trust that they can handle me. So we'll talk at that in just a second. And there's trauma.
Okay.
So there is work. Again, this doesn't have to take a long time. Many of us have been through hours and years of therapy. What I know about is when we're willing to actually play with stuff from an energetic level with the body, things can shift and change very quickly. There are so many amazing workers and healers and gifts on the planet that can help us work through whatever our individual traumas are. Just know that's a possibility. And then, so I would like to play with, that they can handle you. Like, you would want to be handled for what fucking reason? Nobody can handle me.
Well, now, okay, so this is a beautiful point, because I've had moments of this that I wasn't willing to allow anyone else to be in the presence of me unbridled.
I love that, me unbridled. I love that energy. Okay, keep going.
So it's like this, and where this showed up for me, I'll tell on myself.
Yes, tell us.
Where this started to show up for me is when we would go to, for any of you who have heard us talk about access classes, there have been other amazing classes in my life, and this part of the way an access class is presented is there's usually massage tables there, because typically in a class there's people doing body processes while the class is going on, whether that's the bars or other processes. And with one of the facilitators in particular, Dr. Dane here, he does a series of classes where he actually brings people up in front of the room, because he's got a table up on the platform area, and he works on people while he's facilitating. And it's a massive contribution for those who go up and get on the table. And he actually kind of peruses the room as he's working, and he actually just invites different people up at different times throughout the class. Right. And the first time I saw that happen, I was like, Now I watched it was on a video that I saw it the first time, and I was like, that's really interesting. And then I went to a class, and it was going on live, and I was actually physically in the energy of it. And and it was this sort of duality for me of, wow, that's so freaking awesome, and oh my God, I could never do that.
Right.
And it was this, I don't know if I could let go of all of the control of me for anyone else to see. Now, if you've ever been in a relationship, there comes points where you can choose to have that or not. And where it got my attention it got my attention in a whole lot of ways. But that was an awareness that started to show up for me. Was I remember there was a moment that I was sitting in one of those classes, and I specifically had the thought of, I don't want people to see me have an orgasm. And it was the strangest, like, what just came up in my universe? It was like, But there was the energy. And as we played with the energy of orgasm, and for those of you who might not have seen that episode, Can't Keep a Good Orgasm Down. And of course, the word comes up in a number of our conversations. when I looked at the energy of orgasm, it really was about the non-structured, the uncontrollable, the limitlessness, the potency, all of that massively potent combustible energy.
Right.
And I wasn't willing at that moment, I wasn't willing to let anybody see that part of me. And it was this very strange and wonderful awareness. And how many of us might be having some of that in the way we're trying to create things. And I still have moments, and there's still certain people, it's like, well, no, I don't really want to, and so it's like, there's the willingness to be that. And then there's also the willingness to have our awareness of who are the people that we can be that with. Right. Yeah. And there's quite a bit there. Could be a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation.
So yeah. So when how many of us have bought into that we could be too much?
Oh, head of the class right here, right? None of us. Yeah. I'm sure nobody else.
Yeah. Now, so is it being too much? So here's the question, here's the one that's popping. Is it about us being too much, or is it about our willingness to receive that much more of us? In that moment, in any of those moments, when we are letting go of that, when we become unbridled, okay, how much more of us are we willing to be present with and receive the pleasure of, and receive the potency of, and receive the magic of, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
And will you choose the people who can be present with you as that?
Yeah. Yes. And so, like, speaking of being on Dane's table, I was on Dane's table at Symphony of Possibilities, the first one he had. And there was something in my universe. I was ready to check out. I asked him the question. He says, hey, you want to come up? And here's the thing, friends. There were, 200 people in that room. And I knew a lot of them, but not all of them. Like, I'd never seen most of them, right? But I trusted me. And I trusted Dane because I've watched Dane. I've listened to Dane. I've read his books. I know his work as a being, and that he comes to each and every one of us with no judgment, and he's willing to look at whatever we're willing to look at, and he'll go there with you. So I trusted me to get up on that table in front of 200 people and have him work on this stuff in my body with me, and I didn't care. Now, I did have there was still a little bit of like, I don't want to let all of this go, because again, I had somewhere in my mind that if I exploded it off that table, like, I didn't know what it was going to show up as. I didn't know what it was going to look like, feel like, taste like. I didn't know. So there was still it was not complete unbridling, but it was the majority. And when I sat up off that table, people could see the difference. They were like, wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And yes, so everywhere that all of us have been labeled and defined as too much, can we please all, in whatever way, shape, or form, send it on back to where it came from? Thank you very much. Not my circus, not my monkeys, because you aren't willing to receive the level of intensity and the level of presence and the level of unbridled joy and the level of sexualness and the level of vibrancy and the level of vitality that we are. Pure fucking pleasure. If you can't handle it, walk away. I'm not turning it down anymore. That's my demand of me.
Yes.
And here's the beauty of this, friends, like the sun, right? The sun is so vibrant. It's so hot. Like, if some of us put on sunglasses, some put on sun hats, some of us do umbrellas, but like the sun never stops shining. Like, are you willing to just let it out? Because it's going to create so much greater for you. It's not going to create disease in your body and discord and, dissonance. Like, if you're willing to be that vibrant vitality, those that are looking for what you are will come in. They will be magnetized to you. We've said this over and over. Keisha and I are living proof of it. The more we show up and have these crazy ass conversations and talk about sex and all these kind of naughty things, like, people are like, we're going to go play with them. Who knew? Well, we knew somewhere within us, right? So stop the too much, own it, turn it up. Like, when people are like, I'm like, turn it up. Watch what happens.
Yeah.
Whoo, sorry, got a little whoo.
No, well, I love that in the chat she was this person was saying sharing something else about hearing some things that her mother would say to her, and most of the time she does let herself shine. How
Good.
awesome is that?
Good.
And so in the moments when that voice shows up, what is it that you can be aware of now? What's triggering it? What, you know, like what is the place that you've been willing to shut down, and now what would allow that to change for you? And I invite all of you to these questions. What are the places that you shut yourself down?
Yeah. And let me just do a little disclaimer. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that if you're in a situation, you know, that let's say you're at a funeral, you're in a somber experience. I'm not saying run through, I'm so bright. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is my outward expressions may not be as animated, but my level of presence, I will be so present. I will look people in the eye. I will have my barriers down. I will expand out. I will have a smile on my face. I will be an open, inviting invitation, but I will not diminish or buy into their sadness or their trauma. Like that's what I want you guys to get. It morphs and changes in every situation, but it's never the diminishment of you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm not always a bright, shiny, big old bubble and flower. I mean, most of the time I am, but sometimes it requires a more quiet, present approach. And I can command a room with no words. Mm-hmm. How fun would that be for you if you could choose that, right? If that's something you want to play with.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And this beautiful person in particular, I believe she's got that down too. So with pleasure, the gifting, this notion of, and this is so funny because the conversations never show up.
Never.
Like,
yet,
so
what
for
if
everybody
exactly
who
what's
thought
required?
Right? For everybody who thought we were going to spend the whole hour talking about masturbation.
Of a different sort.
Of a different sort, right? Mental, energetic. So now, and this is an interesting thing. So, and I just said so like 50 times. Okay.
Like, okay. Like that's so
like, so,
totally.
And we like to laugh, folks. Yeah. With this whole thing around masturbation and everything energetically that's connected to, that the word is connected to, and all of us who in whatever lifetimes bought into the awfulness of it, everywhere that still lingers for you, everywhere that's still energetically present for you, and everywhere you brought it into physical manifestation in your body, would you be willing to let go of all of the points that you have justified holding that on with?
Yes.
And would you allow your body to actually show you? And you know what? It could be as simple as asking, body, show me the pleasure you truly be, and show me the pleasure you truly desire. And how could I offer you pleasure today? And see what starts to show up. You might start to feel what we could call a craving. You know, it's a way we identify something. You might start to notice your body's asking you for certain things. And would you be willing to honor it? It doesn't mean you have to like change your whole life to like be on call for your body whenever they, you know, hey, I want to sit down now. Hey, I want to go pee now. Hey, I need a drink of water now. Hey, blah, blah. Your body doesn't have to be like a 2-year-old, okay? It's not about that. It's really about being tuned in, you know. Yeah. And part of what I love is you can actually create an intensity of intrigue with yourself, with your own body. I was like in the middle of a bookstore not too long ago, and I walked past a section of books, and my body was like, hey, go back over there. Lo and behold, it was all these books about sex and psychology of sex and all of that. And so there were some books that were displayed on the little stands, you know, so you could actually see the covers. And some of the covers were quite provocative, and my body was like, yep, we could do something. I was like, really, body? Oh, okay. I kind of like, all right, well, note to self for future reference, let's play more with that energy, you know. And so it's like, it could be that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated, as we love to say. It doesn't have to be complicated. And would you at least be willing to receive the energy of that? Because even in those few moments that I was like, really, body? There was something there. There was like this little excitement, like,
Yeah.
oh, something to play with. And it's like, even in those few moments, there is a contribution that can be really beneficial to our bodies, just our willingness to play with our bodies. And then would you actually allow yourself to be with your body and create pleasure with your body, whether that's through treating yourself to a super fine meal or a super fabulous bath or whatever that might be. Yeah.
Reading a book, sitting under a tree, taking a walk, having a massage, like
putting essential oils on. Yeah, it's like it involve your body. I am going to invite you, because this is about the gift of self-pleasuring.
Yes.
And again, how many of you are trying to have pleasure without your body involved? And how much does that create, really?
Right? Oh, yeah, when you're willing to actually allow your body to show you what it desires, and you actually follow through and receive it, it's way greater than what you could have imagined. It may be different in some cases. It may be a little bit like, okay, but when you're willing to get out of the point of view about what it's supposed to be like, our bodies know. And they don't have judgments and points of view. They just have preferences. And so when you're willing to allow your body to show you, it's juicy goodness. It's awesome. And I can't even tell you, like, ha. That's my word. Ha.
So yeah, whatever you do, like, don't play with pleasure and risk the possibility that you will have better health, better concentration, improved sense of well-being,
better finances.
Yeah, you might notice money wants to play with you a little more, and it might not be literal money. It might be like people start showing up and giving you things. You know, they bring you a big old bag of pecans or a pecan pie. You know,
get an upgrade at the store.
You get
a free coffee. Somebody, you know, it could be any number of things.
Yeah, it's like, and that's part of it. Really, the dominant energy of these conversations is about receiving.
Yeah.
And really, this is part of that energy. That the nature of energy is that it responds.
Yeah.
That's the behavior of energy. It responds to the stimulus. So if we're willing to receive, if we're willing to gift our bodies pleasure and let it actually be a contribution to our bodies, imagine what then our bodies can offer us in turn. And it's pretty amazing. So, how many gifts could you be willing to receive of pleasuring your body?
Way more here. How about you guys? Holy smokes, we're at the end of the hour, and I just want to thank you, Miss Keisha, for this beautiful conversation.
Oh my gosh.
I love when we get to play. And thank all of you who are in the chat room and live with us today. Thank you, all of you who are listening, you know, or watching this in the future. So grateful. And I just want you guys to know that I will not be with you next week. I don't believe so. I will be traveling. And if I'm in a position to tune in, I will. But Miss Keisha will be on with our friend, Mr. Alan Jones. Tuesday. What are you guys talking about? Do you remember?
We are talking about sexual topsy-turvy.
Oh, that'll be fun. And yeah, you guys will get the invites, and Alan will be back, and I'm so grateful he's joining you. But I just want you guys to know that I'll be thinking about you, and if I can tune in from San Francisco, I will. But if not, just have an amazing conversation and just know that, you know, pleasure's the bomb, baby. Are you willing to be the bomb, baby? Yeah.
And if these conversations have brought up anything for you as you are watching them, please know you can reach out to us. And if you just look, if you're watching this when you're watching the video of this, because if you're not watching it live, you'll be watching the video, know that the information to contact us is below this video in the body of text. And we would be honored and privileged to work with you outside of the conversations on the show. If there's something that you'd like to address, to change, to even just have a conversation about, that's part of what we do. So let us know, reach out. And if you have a topic you would like to explore, hey, we would love to know that.
Absolutely.
We get lots of really cool things across our gray matter, and it's always fun when people pitch a possibility for us to play with. So if there's a curiosity you have, or something that's always bamboozled you with regard to sex, or something that sex could be or could never be, hey, bring it on, because we love that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. We're willing to look at anything. And if it's going to contribute to you changing or, adding to your life, just having your life be greater, that's what we're here for. We're desiring what's going to contribute to you. So until then, we're just pinch hitting and playing and having fun, and it's contributing beautiful things, and we get to play with more and more people each week, and I'm just so grateful.
And definitely
so lucky.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you beautiful. Thank you, body. Thank you, all of you, and thank your bodies. I'm so grateful to your bodies.
Receiving it, yes.
And that you're honoring your bodies and bringing them to share with us this time that we're communing together. So how does it get even more awesome, yummy, juicy, more wonderful, sexy, pleasuringable? And I'm liking that. Would you like, let's wrap it up with that question.
The ESC? Yeah, I was going to do it. All right. What energy, space, and consciousness can we in our bodies be to be the pleasure-seeking, pleasure-inducing, pure pleasure we truly be? And everything that doesn't allow for that times a godzillion. Blow it up, destroy it, uncreate it, let it go. Take a deep breath in, blow it out, and have it as your reality.
All right.
How much fun could you have with that? Thank you, everybody. Wendy, Gina, Lisa.
Oh my God, Gina. Yum.
Grateful.
And
come play with us on our radio shows. I'm on tomorrow, Wednesday the 14th. What are you committed to? It's going to be a good one. Keisha's on Friday. I'm on at 10 Eastern. Keisha's Friday at 11 Eastern. What are you talking about? Do you know?
We're talking about bass backwards this week, baby.
Bass backwards. That's my kind of fun. We would love to have you on A2Zen.fm. Come see us. Come play with us. We got tons of archives. We're here to contribute, people. We're here to raise the vibration. We're to have a whole lot more pleasure. So we're doing it.
Woo! All right. Until next time. Bye, everybody.
See ya.